Hello. In this video on Chartsmart Global, I'm going to show you a little bit more about screening, in this case for stocks that have earnings growth, and just to show you a few of the other screening features. So we've got it started, and I'm just going to go into the main menu where the charts are. And actually, we have a NASDAQ chart displaying here. But what I'm going to do is go into the filter menu over here on the left. And I've left it the way it's set up when you install the software, but the process you do to get started is to go into your own filter group and then start making your filter sets. So if I go down to select filter group, you can see that there's three sample groups, and those were all the sets flashing on the left there. And then if you go down here, you'll see a whole bunch of filter sets that are empty, and there's no there are filter groups that are empty and there are no sets in there. So we're just going to take the first one and we're going to add a filter set. Okay. So we'll go here and we'll go add a new filter set, and let's just call this earnings um, companies. Okay. So that's the name of our group or our filter set. Now we need to decide what criteria we want to use. So we could go in here and first of all select an exchange out of the ones that are available in here. And in the future, you're going to see all the exchanges for all the exchanges in the world. You'll see Shanghai and everything in here, but that's something for the future. In addition, you'll see other types of financial instruments, such as searching out for forex, cryptos, and so on. Right now, though, I'm just going to show you something with what we could do is take New York, or sorry, NASDAQ in New York and Amex, and we could run a screen for just them, and we could go through all 33,000 as you can see, and we would get 13,000. And the first thing I want to do is, if I'm looking for earnings company, I'm going to get rid of the ETFs. Um, just in all my screens. This is not necessary because obviously if you look for earnings growth, you're going to see, um, ETF is not going to have earnings in it. So, but what I want to do is show you this little feature under um, display, under miscellaneous display settings. And there's one that says if this is checked, all ETFs are excluded from running screens. So let's do that. And I don't know if you remember when I ran this screen for those three US exchanges, there were about 13,000 companies. And now there's about half that, 7,000. So these are the companies that are not ETFs. Sometimes there's a few in there. That's just a matter of data management. And as a beta version, we're working on that. So if we were to go in here, we could just scroll through these, okay? And we could go group and begin scrolling. And there you go. There's the first one, Allegiant Technologies. We get all the fundamentals information on the bottom. When we run the screen, we're going to be looking at that red line on the bottom because we'll be looking at the earnings. I'll just go through forward to another one. Okay, and here's another one. So you can see on Alcoa, the earnings were higher in 2022 and they've dropped off. Okay, the stock came down along with the earnings, you'll notice. Okay, so that's why it's kind of neat in ChartSmart Global to have these fundamentals on the bottom so you can see how they tie in with the chart action. So what we can do now is go into more specifics. Okay, we could say, for example, I only want to look at stocks that are on the S&P 500. So we'll go here and we'll say, okay, I'll take, or the S&P composite. Now, we actually don't need those three exchanges there because it's just going to give us the S&P 500, but let's see what we get. And because we're doing a custom screen, you saw that red line there, but what we've got here now is there's 476 companies. Okay, now I know there's about 500 on the S&P composite, so 24 aren't there. And I guess maybe 24 of them are on the bulletin board, OB, because we didn't include that in the screen. So I'm not going to worry about that now. Let's just carry on with this. And now let's go further in our screen and say, well, I'm going to look at the fundamentals, and I just want to look at companies where they've had earnings growth in the last 4 years, consistently up. Okay, so it could be negative, but what we're going to do, whoop, I went out of there, and I'm going to run this screen again of those 480 or so, and we'll see which ones have had revenue or earnings growth. And there they are. So we'll look at the first one, which is, it looks like it's Airbnb. Okay, so we look at 4 year or 3 or 4 years in the chart because that's how long, I think it was the 3 years that we were looking for earning growth, maybe four. And you can see the red line, how it's been up for 3 or 4 years in a row. So this company is seeing growth. And if you look at the black line, which is the revenue, you'll see it's been going up too. And associated with that is the magenta line, which is the PE ratio. Okay. Now, those five lines, you can see PE ratio, operating revenue, cash, dividends, EPS. Those are the ones that are being chosen to be plotted at the bottom. And you actually can go under indicators to fundamentals, and you can see that those are the ones checked on. But you can also see that there's a lot of different ways you could show the historical fundamental information. You could see how inventories are changing, how the total shares issued and outstanding are changing, and you could change the colors of these lines, and you can also change the width of these lines. You can show them quarterly or 12-month trailing. So this is quite sophisticated, but we're going to stay out of this now and just show you the basics of it. So let's look at another one. And you can see the red line really quickly is going up. And that's the nice thing about this fundamentals feature. You can see that these are companies that have had continued growth. You can see the blue line there. It looks like a lot of them are paying dividends as well that are making earnings, almost every one. Let's see if we can go through and find one that doesn't. And it looks like they almost all have earning or dividends. Now this one doesn't. I guess it's because it's a higher tech one. And you could filter out ones that uh, you know do or don't have dividends as well. But let's go into this a little more, and let's say we want ones with maybe a low PE ratio. Okay, so we'll go in here and we'll say, well, I just wanted to look ones where their PE ratio is maybe under 15 PE ratio. Okay, and we'll say 15. Okay, so here we go. We've got our criteria on the left. And you can see how flexible this is, and this screen will be saved permanently. And on the next day where there's new data, you'll be able to run it and see what changes there are. So we only get 20 out of those companies. So just recapping, we've got stocks that are earnings growth in the last 4 years, and they're on the S&P 500, but they have to be on NASDAQ, New York, or Amex. And um, now we're looking at ones, and we're looking at their PE ratio. And let's just go through here and look at this one here. I don't know. There's the PE ratio on this one. Okay, the first one, 11.6, which I think we specified to be under 20. So that's the magenta line. So, you can make as you want. As you wish of all of this. I'm not saying that these are the best screening criteria, but you can see the flexibility that Chartsmart has. And if I liked this chart, I could maybe look at the icon here to see what other information is on the web. Like I could get a company profile at Yahoo, and here we go. That's it. Um, Sorry, there's my web page, or our web page for Chartsmart Global. And of course, you can combine this with technical criteria. Like this is a weekly chart, but I'll look at a daily chart, and I could say I could just say, well, I want to also add that they've dropped in price maybe in the last, um, or they're currently at say a 10-week low. Okay, so let's say they're within 20% of their 10-week low. It could be that we won't get any out of those 20, but we'll see if there are any. There might be one or two. There's four. Okay, so let's take a look at them. So there's the first one, which is the one we looked at. And if you look back at 10 weeks, that would be about August, I guess. And you can see that it is trading near a low at that time. So there's another one that's had a big drop in the last 10 weeks. And there's another one. that had must have had some bad news, Genuine Parts Company. So we'll look at the weekly chart in this, and so you can see it's had this big drop. The PE ratio is still very low. Their earnings have still been up. It's quite possible that the reason for that drop is that they announced some bad earnings. Who knows? You can look into that. And then, of course, you can always put them in your watch list. So if I have a new watch list, I'll call Bob. Okay, I can always add the displayed chart to that list. And I'll go forward in our list of 4. And there's another one. Okay, and if I want, I can always add that to my watch list. Okay, and then we can always go through a watch list and we could go view charts. So it overwrites those 4 companies that were in there. And this is now our new list that we scroll through. Pretty neat, huh? So Chartsmart is a very well thought out system. Chartsmart Global expands upon this, gives longer term charts, which this one's only about 10 years, but if we zoom it, you'll see it goes back to about 13. Okay. And you can see the fundamentals on the bottom actually go back a lot further, and they actually go back 40 years, and we will be having it so that the actual charts can go back that far as well. So there's lots to come, and I hope that video has um, given you some ideas of how you can use ChartSmart. You really just need to get into this filter menu and start looking at all the possible criteria that we have in here, which is just there's just so much in here. All the balance sheet screening. There's the technicals you can screen on of so many kind of crossovers and Bollinger Bands and trends of various patterns. You can look for candlestick patterns and so on. And of course, sectors. There's over 100 sectors, I believe. So an amazing system, and you're getting to use it now at your leisure. So if you have any questions, please email info@chartsmart.com. That's really what we want to do, is hear from you and hear your comments and suggestions as we continue to develop uh, this product. Thank you very much, and good luck.